To say that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been at a low point feels a little too generous. They went from producing some of the highest grossing movies of all time to some of the biggest flops. It's almost as if the real Kevin Feige was killed and replaced with a Skrull version of himself, who is much less adept at making production decisions. I mean, seriously, what the hell was Secret Invasion? So when Deadpool proclaimed himself Marvel Jesus in the trailers for his upcoming movie Deadpool and Wolverine, you wanted to believe it. Not only because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in dire need of saving by a messianic figure, but if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Ryan Reynolds, who will be able to inject new life into the MCU with the signature foul and meta humor of the Merc with the mouth. And he isn't doing it alone, as this movie sees the return of Hugh Jackman into the role of Wolverine, who died in what was meant to be his final movie, Logan. But don't worry, Hugh insists that he meant it at the time. That really was meant to be his final movie. So there's a lot riding on this film, with the expectation that it could deliver the Marvel Cinematic Universe the much needed hit it deserves. So does it? It absolutely does. In fact, it delivers a win so big, I'm not sure the Marvel Cinematic Universe does deserve it. As far as expectations go, this movie is exactly the movie it was advertised at in the trailer. Its strength isn't a compelling story because it doesn't necessarily have one, or how it delivers on an intricate character arc for Wade Wilson, because it doesn't. This is a fun, gory romp of a movie that delivers on the simple promise that its title suggests. You're gonna see two of your favorite superheroes played by two of the most well-cast actors in comic book history as they slice and quip their way across an adventure of fun and surprises. To no surprise, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are as amazing as ever. Each of them have absolutely perfected their characters to a T and clash in a way that is far from unexpected, but no less fun than you could have imagined. I want to specifically single out Jackman, who hasn't stepped into the claws for 7 years and hasn't missed a beat. I'm sure many will believe that his return wasn't worth the trade-off of sacrificing the perfect farewell his character was given in Logan, but it's fair to say the movie does as good of a job as it can possibly do in a scenario like this to not undermine that ending. It's also hard to argue against his return when he's just this good in the role. As always, Wolverine is the ultimate gentle giant, and Hugh brings an immense amount of pathos to the character. And you can tell just how much he loves playing it based on how shredded he got into the role. I mean, it's Hugh Jackman. He didn't have to do it, but he did, and I think that speaks volumes. It's also refreshing that the movie doesn't play into the he just wants to die and hates being immortal shtick we've seen so many times. Though this is Jackman and Reynolds' movie, the canvas is filled with a colourful group of performers that are having so much fun. I think they'll sign up to this movie even if Marvel money wasn't at play. Matthew McFadden said something a few years ago about how he wouldn't do a superhero movie unless he needed money, so I guess he's broke, but I gotta say, he did a fabulous job of convincing me he's really having fun. It's a much more hammy role than Tom in Succession, and it's fun to see him let loose. Yet the unexpected star of the show is Emma Corrin as antagonist Cassandra Nova, better known as the sister of the much more famous, morally sound Professor Charles Xavier. Is it sacrilegious to say they had the most entertaining screen presence of the main cast? I don't know, but I'll say it anyway. They had the most entertaining screen presence of the cast, and that Willy Wonka influence they spoke about bringing to the character is evident. She's easily one of my favorite Marvel villains, and it has nothing to do with the writing. Emma is just that good in the role. There's also a few cameo and surprise appearances in the way, and I enjoyed each one. All the cameos either moved the story forward in a compelling way, or lent itself to a fun moment that didn't obstruct the story. Which is my way of saying there's nothing as wasteful as the Illuminati cameos in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is the most cameo-heavy superhero movie, and it absolutely works. One area in which the MCU has always been hit or miss is the action sequences, where DC has consistently run super speed circles around them. But this movie delivers in spades or in claws. On a moment-to-moment level, it has the signature digital look that we've grown accustomed to from Marvel, but whenever claws pop out and swords are unsheathed, we are treated to some of the most gory, visually dynamic action sequences we've seen from the MCU. If you got a kick out of finally seeing an R-rated Wolverine in Logan, yeah, this takes it even further. In large part, the action sequences work because director Sean Levy allows them to be messy and all over the place. They don't feel coordinated, and they're all the better better for it. Levy spoke a lot about wanting to shoot on location, and the environments definitely felt more tangible than other superhero movies. As far as technical aspects go, I wish the original score was even better. I mean, now that I think about it, I'm not even sure there was an original score, which just stands as testament to how forgettable it was. This is a movie that knows its strength and its weaknesses, and it's pretty easy to predict whether or not it's something you'll enjoy based on the marketing. If you're worried that the story will be thinly veiled, unfortunately that is the case. The story feels less like a compelling narrative in its own right, and more like a reason for the characters to travel on this entertaining journey. While that's fine for the most part, there are moments where the lack of a strong story engine feels present, and it feels like the script is in an aimless search of one, resulting in a series of scenes that are defined less by compelling conflict and more by one-liners that are made specifically to be spliced into a trailer. Though the movie eventually finds its footing, the first act is especially procedural, existing almost solely for exposition, and the fact that Wade makes a self-referential joke to acknowledge that doesn't make it any better. They definitely should have spent much more time thinking about how they can make all of the exposition much more interesting. On a more positive note, this is a hilarious film, and while I love most of the jokes they made, I was more impressed by the jokes they didn't make. There are a few genuinely effective dramatic moments in the film, and they work because Shawn Levy shows restraint, which allows the dramatic moments to breathe on their own. Sure, you will leave the cinema remembering the big pop that erupted in the cinema from 10 different moments, but it's the quieter moments that hold the louder moments together. It isn't an emotionally complex film, but it has the same endearing heartbeat you would find in something like The Nice Guys. The word of mouth on this movie has been amazing so far, and I can easily see why. In fact, I could just feel it in the air while watching it. This is a fun, bloody, crowd pleaser of a movie that reminded me why the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for all of its flaws in recent years, is so special. Because at its best, the Marvel Cinematic Universe can deliver an experience that is so joyous, full of laughter and spectacle, in a way that makes you feel like a friend with every stranger in the cinema. Time will tell whether this is a one-off or indicative of a course correction for the MCU. Something tells me it's more of the former. But either way, let's just be glad this movie exists in all of its profane, action-packed glory. And I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button for weekly movie and TV reviews. And if you've gotten the chance to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, I'd love to know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time.